Hello everyone, it's Saoirsesshelf and welcome to my antique book market, which is actually the corner of my kitchen, and I'm sitting on the floor. You might have to turn your volume up. I don't have a proper microphone yet, but I wanted to do a soft-spoken ASMR style video for you today to show you some of my oldest books in my collection. Now we're going to take a closer look at each of these books, but first I just want to show you what they are, what we're working with here. We have Le Barbier de Seville, which is a book that my friend got for me somewhere in Europe. She found this in an antique market, and it's so cute. Look at it. Look how tiny. And I know I should be wearing gloves when I touch these books, so I apologize. I don't have any gloves right now, but I would be wearing gloves. This one my grandmother gave to me. It's a Psalm of Life, and this is by, who is it, Longfellow, I believe? Yes. And it's a really beautiful, beautifully made book. Can't wait to take a closer look at that one. And I'll talk about how old these are as well. Now this one might be the oldest, and it also might be tied with another one, The Works of Shakespeare. I found this at a vintage market years ago. And it even has some very special things in the back, which are handwritten papers by somebody that lived a very long time ago. This book is about 150 years old, almost 150. This one, if the date in it is correct, is even older than that one. And this is the Moonstone by Wilkie. I found this at my local vintage market that I go to every month. It's once a month, and I really like the handsome quality of this one, and it's in very good condition if it is as old as I think it is. This is The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. Now I can't remember where I got this one. Oh, it's one of these rare ones that actually has like a cover with a title on it, because most of these, as you can see, they don't have the title on the cover. But this one, where did I find it? I'm not sure, and it even includes her pen name, Curvell. And I have an idea of how old that one is. This one I got in Edinburgh right when I moved there, and it's Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. And this one's really interesting, I think, because it even has this on the back, which is unique. I haven't really seen a local embossing stamp like that. This one, I don't know quite how old it is, but I like that it has the Hospital Loan Library sticker on it. And it is The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell. And inside, see that? And I read this for college, a different edition, but I'll show you a closer look in a minute, but a lot of people checked this book out from the library. Now I have two copies of this for some reason, Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. I don't know why. I think I was going through a time where I would just buy any book that was, that looked old. And when you put them all together, they really do look very nice. And this one has a beautiful design on the spine. It has grapes. And this is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I have so many copies of Jane Eyre. Most of my duplicate editions are Bronte books. And then the last one we have, it says Treasure Island and kidnapped. So they're both in one very handsome tome. So I hope you enjoy this more relaxing, chill kind of video. It's kind of weird speaking really softly, and I'm sure some people might complain, but just turn your volume up. You'll be fine. So let's take a closer look at some of these books. Okay, I am back. I've had to switch from the camera to the phone, so we will see if this works. Thank you for bearing with me. So this is the one that I said my friend got for me in Europe, and it's so tiny. I would reckon that this one is probably before the turn of the century, so pre-1900, but I couldn't quite find a definitive answer on the internet. Sometimes when you're trying to find how old a book is, it's very easy just by typing in the publisher or the edition, and sometimes it's incredibly difficult, surprisingly difficult, because in case you didn't know this, they don't always put the publication date. In old books, they sometimes didn't say anything other than when the original was published. Now this one's helpful because it says last reprint, latest reprint 1973, so we know that's when this particular edition is from, and 1973 is not very old, but I do love this edition. I think it's very pretty. Now this one is one of my favorites, and this book, The Professor, it's actually sort of like the precursor to Villette, which is my favorite book, and I think Charlotte Bronte's best work. The Professor wasn't very successful, and then she went on and wrote Villette, which was a sort of reworking of it, and it became very successful. Oh, look at that. Now, I know I must have done this at some point, but I can't quite remember where these are from, which is a shame. I should make a note, like a note in a notebook somewhere. I always press flowers and leaves in books that I like, but I don't always remember where I got the flowers from. Oh well. This one, I'll say, is from, I believe, around 1900. And the way that I'm guessing that is because it has this advertisement. A lot of old books have ads in them, and it says 1840 to 1900, and nothing beyond that, and it's advertising this soothing syrup, so that makes me think it's probably from around 1900, or they wouldn't have printed it that way in here. This is the one that might be the oldest that I have. And I found it at a market, and it's illustrated. It's really beautiful. And I know I should be wearing gloves, but I can't find anywhere other than it says, you know, it says 1873 here, and then it says 1873 here. I don't know if that's a definitive date on when this edition is from, but it sure seems like it. And this really excited me for a moment because I thought, is this actually signed by Wilkie Collins? But it appears to be an engraving, a sort of stamp that they put into all of these editions, and you can tell when you look up close these sort of imperfections within the ink. It's not a real signature. I like this stamp here. It has really nice illustrations. You would not believe the position I'm sitting in right now. I've never done a over the call it over the shoulder setup, but it's not really over my shoulder. It's in front of me and I'm kneeling like I'm praying right now. This one I love very much, and it was my oldest until I got the Moonstone. So if that one's from 1873, and this one, if it is to be believed that it's from 1879, then this is no longer my oldest. But I love how they just put 79, and it's pretty easy to guess that that doesn't mean 1979. And I did find I had some success online searching for some knowledge about this edition, and it does seem very likely that it's from 1879, so almost 150 years. I have a lot of editions of different Shakespeare works. I mean, Shakespeare's been printed and reprinted so many thousands of times. And then this one, I feel like this book is practically falling apart. I have to be very careful. It has these scraps in it that were there when I bought it. And upon asking a friend who knows about handwriting and paper of the time, they think that this is period, that it is from the late 1800s. It's hard for me to read it. I'm not very good at deciphering old handwriting, but I found it interesting that there is this little seal here. If my camera will focus on it, oh my. You see it says Bristol, and I found Bristol paper is a thing, but I don't know much more about it. I was surprised to find that ruled paper existed in the 19th century. I don't know if that's ignorant of me. I just always pictured them writing on parchment and they didn't have ruled paper, but that's not the case. They certainly did. It's just, I don't know, it's strange to envision that. This is the one from my grandmother, and it is so beautiful. And I love it. I don't know. I think it's a poem because it's Longfellow. And not particularly, like, it's not from the Bible, I don't think. Don't sue me, I'm not religious. But I love the message of it. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave it's not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. So it's all about enjoying your life, nourishing your soul in the present, and not focusing on the fact that you are going to die one day, like everybody has, everybody will. Oh, and this one is from, I believe it actually says in here. I keep forgetting to tell you. Where did it say? Oh, right there, 1909. So fairly old. My knees are getting tired of kneeling here. There we go. A lot of these hospital loan things out there. And this is so cool. You can see these dates. You have the early 60s to the early 70s on here. And all these people checked this book out. That's just something you don't see anymore, you know? Do people even go to the library? I don't know. I know my mom does. Now this is interesting because it has this little piece of paper that comes in the beginning. It's a collector's library, so I couldn't figure out the exact date on this book despite that being in here. See, often they just say printed, you know, where they were printed, and then they don't say the date, which is unfortunate. But this is one of those that just looks, it just looks nice sitting on the shelf. Let's see. And this is the copy of Jane Eyre with the beautiful grapes on it. And I love these. See, I really think that everybody should put, if you don't have, what do they call these, book plates, maybe? If you don't have those, just write your name in it. Gives it character, gives it sort of a life. And the last one is another copy of Kidnapped, and again, I don't know if I got these from thrift stores or what, but there you have it. They somehow ended up in my house. I like these little crinkly pages. Now this says 1913, so let's just go ahead and believe that. And I love how this one looks like it's typewritten, you know, like somebody typed every single word on an actual typewriter. I need to get my typewriter cleaned. That's a reminder to me. Alright, that's all of the books. I hope you liked looking at those. This is my fancy living room table, coffee table that used to be my grandmother's. Anyway, I hope that was all understandable, even though I'm whispering. I hope you enjoyed my antique book market. I am so glad that you stopped by to take a look at all of those old books with me. I think they're so beautiful and there's so much value in preserving these books for future generations. I think a book is something that can always be enjoyed, and one thing I would say is don't be afraid to write your name and the date when you got a book, because I think that's one of the most exciting things, to see the previous owner's handwriting in an antique book. It just gives me so much joy to find these things in either good condition or beautifully tattered condition. They're all still gorgeous to me. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.